Man, so look, Hamza is currently the middleweight champion right now, and honestly, a lot of people stamp him as the guy who's about to run this division for years. And yeah, I get it. That's the safe bet. Because when you look around at the middleweight division, who's really out there that you think, yeah, that guy is going to be the guy that stops Hamza? Not many. He's got the size, that crazy wrestling style, probably the best offensive wrestler, and that kind of chaos where even if a mistake happens, most guys still won't be able to capitalize. Now, I'm not saying that he's untouchable. Two names everybody throws around is Anthony Hernandez and RDR. Stylistically, they're probably the toughest puzzle. I mean, Hernandez has that pace, the cardio, the ability to drown you in volume and pressure. De Ridder has the size, the grappling style that could, in theory, neutralize Khamzat's strength. Those two stand out because they actually fight in the same areas where Khamzat dominates in. The clinch, the takedowns, the scrambles. But even with that, it's not guaranteed. Like, oh yeah, they beat him if they fight. That's the thing. Khamzat just has a way of flipping fights into his world. So Khamzat's out here talking about being the first ever 3 divisional champion, right? And sure, at first you kind of laugh it off. You're like, yeah, okay, sure, whatever. But then when you actually look at it, you start thinking, man, he might actually have a shot. I'm not saying it's guaranteed or anything, especially when you start thinking about moving up because those guys are huge. That's a whole different size game. Those guys are extremely huge. They're giants, and it's definitely a tougher climb. But even then, with Hamza's style, it's not necessarily impossible. And now, if we're talking about him coming back down to 170, that's where things get kind of interesting. The real question is, can he even make that weight now? And if he does his game still work against today's welterweights? Honestly, I don't think he can do 170 without almost killing himself. He's huge now, walking around nearly 200 pounds. And that Nate Diaz fight, where he missed by 8 pounds, kind of showed it. Since then, he's been at 185 just bullying dudes, okay? I mean, hypothetically, though, if he forced it, it'd only be for a title shot, in my opinion. But would he be that marauder tossing people around, or would the gas tank fall apart? Because to me, that's the gamble. The division is sharper now, in my opinion, so it's not as simple. But still, Hamza always has that crazy size and strength advantage, and he's huge for 170. So hypothetically, let's say that he can make 170, right? That's something we really got to talk about, and that's where I want to start. So either way, we got to talk about the two of the fighters that are lined up next, potentially for him. I mean, currently Islam versus JDM is in development. Because let's be real, we have to look at the path. And even if Khamzat wins that belt, I don't see him hanging around to fight other contenders. That's why I'm not even going to bring up guys like Sean Brady or anybody else, in my opinion, if he drops down. He wins the belt, and then he heads straight to 205. That's just how I see it. But with all that being said, let's start with Islam Makhachev. Let's say he beats JDM. He wins the welterweight strap. And man, I'm not going to lie to you, this might be the most intriguing matchup out there. I know we all say, oh, this fight's big, but nah, this one hits different. Hamza at 170 is just a freak of nature, bro. The dude is huge for that weight class. It's not even just his skill, it's the size, it's the power, the way he grapples. The strength difference is probably going to be insane. Think about when he fought other welterweights, how he literally picked them up, walked them around the cage, and he was carrying groceries and slammed them down. That wasn't just skill, that was pure size and raw strength on display. And even with Gilbert Burns, who's as strong as hell, Hamza still muscled him around in some of those clinch spots. At some point, it stopped being about technique and just becoming this guy's just built different. And if y'all saw the grappling match between Arman and Hamza, bro, Arman is one of the best wrestlers in the entire UFC, and Hamza straight up bullied him. He ragdolled him with nothing but size and horsepower. And to me, that's wild. And honestly, that's why I see the same thing happening here with Islam. Because look, man, Islam is not really this massive dude. He walks around with 182. Yes, I'm aware that he's bulking up. He'll probably be 190, 100, or almost 200. It's still different. I mean, for example, it's still a different frame, a different build. I can generally see Islam getting controlled here. Now, don't get me wrong. Islam is sharp, man. He can make people work in those grappling exchanges, and he's got that grindy style. But Islam has never really been known for a guy who pushes this insane style, this insane pace for 5 straight rounds. He's more about control, about finding these spots, when it comes to his grappling. And if we're being real here, I don't think Islam's getting the finish in this fight. I think he's durable enough to hang in there for all 5 rounds. But when it comes to the striking, I'll be honest, Islam is 100% better. No questions about it. Cleaner technique, more composed on the feet. But the thing is, it just doesn't matter if Hamza just body locks him or pins him to the cage or just shoots. If Hamza can keep it that type of fight, then yeah, I think he wins by control and physical dominance. Now, Islam could knock him out. That's honestly his best chance in my eyes. But here's the problem. Islam doesn't really have that one-shot knockout power. Like, think about it. Khamzat Chimaev has a great chin. I mean, he got cracked by Kamaru Usman, got really cracked by Gilbert Burns, and neither of those dudes can put him away. And those guys hit way harder than Islam does. So do I believe Islam's suddenly going to land this magic punch? I don't see it. Islam's best chance is if Hamza gasses out. Like, that cardio aspect is still a question, mainly because I know a lot of people want to throw that narrative away because he beat Dricus du Plessis. But think about it, dude. Hamza kind of slowed down his pace. He wasn't stressing. I mean, he had Dricus in the crucifix for 20 freaking minutes, man. Of course, he's not going to gas out. He's on top of this dude, fucking weight. He's like a little blanket and shit on top of this guy. So there's still hope for Islam. Islam would have to hope that this guy gasses out or something. Now, as far as JDM, let's say JDM beats Islam. Let's say he's the one that's holding the belt and Hamza comes knocking. I honestly think this is a way easier night for Hamza compared to Islam. I don't think it's that close. I see 5 rounds of Hamza just bullying him, controlling him, doing what he does best. And look, man, Hamza's not this crazy TKO, ground and pound finisher or submission artist. He's not going to sit there and beat you into a stoppage like Prime Khabib or anything. He's more of a drag you down, smother you, make you carry his weight type of fighter. That's what I picture against JDM. Now, don't get me wrong, JDM's a dog. The dude's got heart, and he can scramble like crazy. I can see him popping back up, getting back to his feet, making Hamza work harder than he wants to. That's probably his best path to winning, honestly. Scramble, 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 and hope Hamza emptied the gas tanks by round 4 or 5. Then maybe you can catch him late. Maybe you get TKO him when Hamza's breathing heavy. But here's the thing. We just saw Hamza go a full fight with DDP, and his cardio did look solid. Just the big difference, though, is that, and it's very important, is that Hamza was in control the entire time. I mentioned this earlier. He wasn't chasing positions. He wasn't burning energy trying to keep somebody down. If he's in there with JDM, who consistently explodes back up, then that kind of changes things. That's what could make it interesting. Still, I think it's pretty unlikely. Hamza's just too damn big for 170. It's almost unfair at this point. He's built like a middleweight, maybe even a light heavyweight when he rehydrates. And he uses every bit of size to bully guys. Against JDM, I don't see him getting reversed enough or gassed out enough to where it matters. So yeah, JDM's best case scenario is making it ugly late, but 9 out of 10 times, I think Hamza just big brothers him for 5 straight rounds. That's the fight I see him. I don't see JDM getting submitted. I believe his training with Craig Jones will make him survive all 5 rounds. So yeah, in general, if Hamza had another shot to go back to 170, I honestly think he grabs the belt. There's only a handful of guys in that division who really give him problems. Probably like somebody like a Sean Brady, maybe a rematch with Kamaru Usman, or Bilal could be a bit tricky. But even then, I just don't see him defending it for long. Realistically, I don't think he can make 170 consistently anymore. It's probably just going to be a one-off in my opinion. But with all that being said, we go to the 205 division, and that's where it gets really interesting with Big Ank. Man, and I'll be real with you guys, this is one of the most intriguing matchups out there because you hear all these stories floating around about Hamza's ragdolling these light heavyweights in the gym. And honestly, I kind of believe it. The guy's grappling is insane. Probably the best we've ever seen in terms of pure dominance. He's big for a middleweight. His strength at middleweight is just freakish. So, yeah, a part of me does think he can hang with these guys at 205. And it's not like Ankalaev is untouchable. When it comes to grappling, go back and look at Paul Craig, he was able to take him down. Krylov was able to take his back. And he's been in bad spots before in his career. So it's not crazy to picture Hamza shooting in, timing right, timing perfectly, getting Ank down, and maybe even controlling him for a bit. And if he's quick enough, maybe he can even find the choke, like we've seen him do before, where he's just smothering dudes, snatching the neck, and before they realize what's happening, it's over. But here's where it gets tricky. I think Ank's frame is different. We're talking about a guy who cuts from 250 to 230 just to make light heavyweight. That's a whole different beast than middleweight. And Hamza doesn't have the same natural size. So even if he does land a takedown, I wouldn't be shocked if Ink could just explode right back up. That's what being a natural 205er gives you, the ability to absorb get-ups and resets without panicking. The longer the fight goes, the worse it gets for Hamza. Holding Ink down for 5 rounds, that's a tall order, man. Over time, size is just going to matter, and Ink's striking advantage will start showing. Because let's be honest, Hamza's offensive striking is good, I would say. But defensively, it's almost non-existent. He gets hit with a clean shot in almost all his fights. And Ink is the kind of counter striker who can counter something and land something on top perfectly. That's why I lean Ink in this matchup. I think early on, first round, that Khamzat's best window is to shoot. He scrambles, maybe he shocks Ink, But once Ink settles in, I see him stuffing more takedowns, keeping it standing, and it's only a matter of time. And maybe it's my hot take. I think Ink gets him out of there in the second or third round. TKO Khamzat on the canvas, and I'll be generally surprised if Khamzat could beat a natural 205er at this level, especially someone as well-rounded and as disciplined as Ankalaev. So can Khamzat technically beat a triple champ? Man, that's the $1,000,000 question, am I right? Honestly, I think it's really hard to say if we ever get to see it, in my opinion. Khamzat has the best shot early in his career when he was still hanging around at welterweight. That was the window. He could have been the 170 champ back then, but he chose to move up because he couldn't make the weight anymore and chase 185. And it kind of messed things up, Now we don't even know if he can realistically make that cut again. Maybe he could, maybe not. It's kind of sketchy at best. But to me, the whole double champ is totally possible. Welterweight, middleweight, yeah, I can buy that. Triple champ, though? Nah, I just don't see it. Unless he decided to bulk up, get absolutely massive, and commit to being a light heavyweight, the size gap at 205 is just too much. It's complicated. It's fun to think about, but realistically, I don't think he's a triple champ. I don't think a triple champ is in his cards. But that's just my thoughts. What do you guys think? Let me know in the comments down below. And if you enjoyed the video, please leave a like. And don't forget to subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. And like always, guys, I'll see you guys on my next one.